Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff MacLeod, your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. Thanks for joining me once again. Science Fiction Month continues here at the Gaming Gang, and I am going to be sharing my review of Salvage Union's workshop manual from Leyline Press. This is written by Panagiotis Lines and Aled Lawler, with artwork provided by Alex Conley, Hamish Frater, Francesco Silva, and Aled Lawler. And I apologize, I guarantee I've mispronounced at least one of those names. This 338-page hardcover with PDF is available now. It carries an MSRP of $58, or you can grab just the PDF alone over at DriveThruRPG for $28.18. I do not know where that 18 cents pops up from. Anyway, all that said, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got the Salvage Union Workshop Manual. So the Workshop Manual is essentially the core rule book. So everything you need to run and play Salvage Union is located right here in this hardcover. Few things I do want to mention before we get started. First of all, the fine folks over at Leyline Press were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this review with you. These days, it's important you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the workshop manual, but I do want to give you a very good feel for what you're going to find in Salvage Union. Lastly, there is a short adventure, which is part of the book. Normally, I would tell you as a player, when I get to that adventure, tune out. I'm not going to reveal any spoilers. I don't think you're going to really see any major spoilers when I land on a page or two of the adventure. So I think as a player, you should be fine just watching this all the way through. Now, of course, if your game master is considering picking up Salvage Union, by all means, let them know about this video so they can approach this and make an informed buying decision. All right, let's jump on in. First thing I'm going to mention, your game master screen is essentially right here and right here. This is all you really need to get started running the game. And then there's a walkthrough of creating your pilots, creating your mechs, and creating your crawler. Now, this is a mecha game. This takes place in a post-apocalyptic setting. I'll get into the setting in a little more detail in just a moment. But I do want to point out this is pretty rules light. So if you are thinking Salvage Union is going to be a role-playing game in the mold of Battletech with a lot of detailed rules as far as the pilots and the mecha, no, that is not going to be the case. In fact, the reality is the core mechanic to the game is rolling a single 20-sided die. A 1 is a critical failure. 2 to 5 is a failure. 6 to 10 is a success with tough choices. So if you are familiar, say, with the Powered by the Apocalypse kind of system of dice results, it's kind of a success, but. And then if you roll 11 and 19, it is a success. And if you roll a 20, it is an optimal success. It's a critical success. That is pretty much, in essence, the core rule of the game. Now, of course, there are more rules involved than just that, but still pretty simple to wrap your head around. Now, the vast majority of the page space in the workshop manual is devoted to creating characters, creating mechs, and creating your walker, which is the home base for your pilots and their community. So we do have 5 core classes, and then we have hybrid classes. So all of your pilots are considered to be salvagers. So that goes without saying, because there are certain things only salvagers can do. All your pilots will fall into that category. But then we also have soldier, hacker, engineer, scout, and hauler. Those are the core classes. Then we've got hybrid classes. And you can join a hybrid class once you get to a certain point in your advancement in a core class. So one of the cool things I like about Salvage Union is the way things are laid out. So this is for the engineer. So this is one of our core classes. So we get a breakdown of, okay, so what does the engineer do in this game? Then we have their standard abilities, advanced abilities, and legendary abilities, as well as what hybrid classes can they join. So each core class can join one of two hybrid classes. So as your characters advance, they are going to gain these standard abilities. Once they have 6 standard abilities, they can now start to purchase advanced abilities. Now, once they get to the point where they can purchase advanced abilities, they can choose to join a hybrid class. So here for the engineer, we've got fabricator and union rep. Once they join a hybrid class, they can no longer purchase any of these abilities. So they now join into that hybrid class. Now, it's entirely possible that a player decides, hey, you know what? I want one of those advanced abilities from my core class, and then I'm going to jump into a hybrid class. Or maybe they don't want to jump into a hybrid class at all. They don't have to. Very interesting way that this is set up. I like it quite a bit. So to kind of give you an idea as a player, all you really need to know everything about your class are these 2 pages here. This is a breakdown of what a hauler does. And then we've got the abilities. And then this is where we get into the details about those abilities. And this is exactly the way the mech design is laid out, as well as the crawler design being laid out. Really like this a lot, because as opposed to some role-playing games where it's like, okay, well, here are feats and abilities and things like that, and then you just have a section of the book that goes through all of those things in alphabetical order. Here, we've got it right there with the character classes and the hybrid classes. I like that a bunch. So as I mentioned, we've got loads and loads of page space devoted to the character creation. Cyborg is a hybrid class. So that's why you'll notice the hybrid classes tend to have fewer standard abilities, because by the time you join a hybrid class, you're already going to have 6 of these. But you also get some options of getting just standard abilities too, not only the advanced and the legendary, because advanced and legendary are obviously enough more expensive to purchase for your character as your character advances. Then we get into equipment. So this is gear. We've got 6 different tech levels. So as you can see, we've got a breakdown of that. And then same sort of layout as we see with the character creation. We get into the tech levels, and now it's going to show us the various different pieces of gear. So it's weapons and armor and equipment. That's what's all there. Then we're going to get into our mechs. And we get a walkthrough of, if you're going to be designing your own mechs. But the thing is, we've got loads and loads of mecha to choose from. Each of these gets a breakdown of what is the role of this mech. We've got our stats here. Once again, as I mentioned, this is not super crunchy by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, I got to be honest, I was really surprised at how rules light the mech battle portion of these rules are. In fact, the core rules of the game are all of 10, 11 pages. So really not a whole lot that anybody has to wrap their heads around. And of course, using the mecha is just like rolling for your successes. So you're always looking to roll high. Now, there are some things that come into play, such as heat. Can't really have a mech game without worrying about heat generation. So you do roll 20-sided dice for that. But once again, you're always looking to roll high. So if you were to roll under its heat threshold, then bad things are going to happen. And you do have a certain level, their heat cap, that your mech cannot go beyond. Because you can push your rolls with a mech. You can't push your rolls for the pilot. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But of course, pushing your mech is going to generate more heat. It's going to make things more likely that you are going to have a malfunction, breakdown, damage the mech, what have you. But really love the artwork for the mechs as well. I mean, to be honest, the artwork is nearly worth the price of admission alone. And we've got a really nice variety of various different mechs to choose from. And of course, once again, if you want to design your own, you certainly can. Then we also have the crawler. So you're going to be designing your crawler, which is your home base, because what the pilots do is they're in this post-apocalyptic setting, but you also have these corporations, the corpos, who are still aiming to try to bleed every last drop of resources out of this planet. And you also have alien invaders. So there's a lot cooking with this setting. But for the most part, your player characters are pilots. They're scavengers. So they're always on the lookout to be able to salvage equipment and gear and resources, not only to repair their mechs and the crawlers, but also simply to survive. Artwork throughout, really, really dig. We do get some full color pieces of art. Really like this. Production quality of this book is excellent. It really, really is. The paper stock, nice and thick. This binding is really going to hold up to a lot of repeated use at your game table. So here we've got, let's get to the core rules. Like I said, they're very, very short. So our core mechanic, I already explained that. So we start on page 232 and we wrap our core rules at, I think it's 242. Yep, 242. So right there, 11 pages of core rules. And our combat and everything is all in these core rules. So essentially, in combat, now it doesn't matter if you're looking at combat with pilots versus NPCs and monsters and things like that, or if you're looking at mechs battling other mechs and gigantic monsters, kaiju type monsters, it all operates the same exact way. So during your turn, you can do a movement and take an action. And you can move and take an action. And interestingly enough, most role-playing games, if you travel a long distance, because we have range bands here. So we've got close, we've got medium, far. So you can travel a long distance and still take an action. But the thing is, you're more open to attack. So I thought that was kind of interesting because a lot of times in role-playing games, so if you move like a double move, well, then you can't do anything. It's just your movement. That is not the case here. All right, then we get into salvaging. We get into a game master section. Game master in this game is known as the mediator. We will also start getting into our bestiary, which is going to include the denizens of the wasteland. We get some random encounter tables. We get a bit more background about the setting. I will mention that it's a little light on the setting info. Now, there are 3 adventures that have already come out for Salvage Union, which I found pretty impressive because a lot of times we'll see a game come out from a small publisher, don't see a ton of support right off the bat. I do have 3 adventures for Salvage Union, which stay tuned. I will have reviews of later on this month because it is Science Fiction Month here at the Gaming Gang. Then we'll get into our Bestiary. As you can see, we've got different monsters because, as I mentioned, we've got this alien invasion. So we have hit points and we also have structural points. So hit points are for squishy things like people and smaller creatures. And then we have SP, which are for mechs and big giant monsters. I also thought it was interesting that we have squads. So rather than sitting there with all the jamokes and worrying about each and every single one of them, here we have squads, and they're just essentially treated like swarms that have one hit point total, and you're just kind of, and they have multiple attacks, of course, and then you're just kind of weeding down those swarms. This is the introductory adventure, and this is pretty interesting, actually, and it does give the players a really good feel for what is their pilot's lot in life and what is their purpose. So, and this is pretty short, so I would say the adventure itself can probably be played through in a single session. Maybe if the players start doing a lot of things that might be a little off the cuff, maybe 2 sessions, but for the most part, I think you're probably looking at maybe about 4 hours or so. Then we get into a glossary that's going to explain various different key concepts, keywords, and so forth. And then we will wrap up with our index. And of course, the other portion of our Game Master screen right here. Right, so that is a look at the workshop manual for Salvage Union. Let's swing on over to the other camera so I can share some final thoughts as well as my review score. I think it's pretty obvious. I really like Salvage Union. Now, I will point out, I was kind of surprised that the mech portion of the game is not crunchy at all. Doesn't bother me. I'm just a little surprised it's not a little more tactically dense, but that's fine. I really think that this is perfect for those out there who are looking for a mech game that doesn't overwhelm the players and the game master with rule upon rule upon rule. Super easy to wrap your head around. I love the layout of the book. I find the player characters, the pilots, all should be pretty interesting as far as those classes go. They're pretty well balanced, it appears. I love all the different mechs and how each mech has different loadouts as far as what purpose you're looking for that mech to serve, what role you're looking for it to serve. I think the setting itself is very interesting. There's not a ton of detail about the setting, but there is plenty of room for you to interpret the wasteland however you'd like. And as I pointed out, there are also 3 adventures currently out there for Salvage Union 2. So stay tuned. I will have reviews of those. All in all, I'm really impressed by Salvage Union. And gotta say, if I were going to run a mech game, I would be really, really strongly looking at utilizing Salvage Union. On a scale of 0 to 10, I give the Salvage Union Workshop Manual a 9 out of 10. I think it's that good. And if you're looking for a rules-light mech game, honestly, I don't think you need to look any further than Salvage Union. All right, that is it for this time out. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. It'll not only let you know when I share videos such as this review, it'll also inform you when my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, airs Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central, right here on YouTube. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com For the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff MacLeod. Thank you very much for watching. And until I see you next time, I certainly hope all of you out there get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.